Yeah, well, it makes a
And then
change.
she put it back in, and it felt much better. Oh, hi everyone!
Hi, yes.
It's
Don't
Foxx
just
Wolf,
say about
Guru.
that. Yeah.
This is Ted muttering away in the background there. Hey everybody, it's Foxx from Modelmaker Guru here. Welcome to the Treehouse Club live podcast. Unfortunately, this evening, it seems to be just me and Ted. Will had to go out. He's not free. It's just posted in the chat for you. TK seems to be having some internet problems, so he's currently working on dial-up speed. So we're hoping he gets that fixed. Tony says he might be able to pop in, but he's a bit tied up. And Adam and Ant may not be able to make it at all. So it might just be me and Ted. So it's Monday night on a Saturday night.
Yeah, it's Monday night. So yeah, if you have any questions for Monday night, post them now and we'll answer them on Monday.
No. Oh, hello.
Oh, TK's here.
A wild TK appears.
As we speak, the man appears.
Hey, TK.
Oh, TK.
Yay.
It looks like a hat night tonight. Hang on, I'll get me a hat.
He's getting his hat. How are your broadbands, TK?
Hopefully it'll hold.
It's
kind of in between dial-up and proper broadband now, so.
Okay. Well, we'll assume the worst and assume choppy pictures, but decent audio, perhaps.
Yeah, I made. Anytime, I don't know, but yeah.
His internet's held together with string and gaffer tape.
Oh, it's a British Leyland internet. Oh, right.
Yes.
Well, hello to both of you. I'll just quickly whiz through the chat. For those of you who've never watched the Treehouse podcast before, it is a podcast of the Treehouse Club members, a small group of YouTubers who also know each other. Myself, Ted, TK, Ant, Will, and Busby, who doesn't actually do YouTube, and Adam. So it's a group of YouTubing model makers. We run the Boom Hut and everything else, and you'll probably know all our pages. So we get together and do this once a month. Every other month, it's done. 1 month is done for Patreon subscribers, and this month is the open to everybody. So it's just the regular Treehouse. It's not the after hours, so we're not going to be doing too much swearing. We have to assume that some younger people might be watching, so keep it clean in the chat if you can, reasonably clean. A little bit of innuendo is fine. We're British, we do it.
For now.
She said.
Oh, matron.
Oh, yes. So let's have a quick look in the chat and see who we've got. People are just starting to come in. So we've got Alex Gutal and Wayne Larson. Hi to both of you. Rody Hobby Corners in. Hey, Rody. Chris from Gross Models. Give it a minute. Backstepped is in. Kenneth is in. Hey, Kenneth. Runstrand. Good evening, people. I'm pronouncing that like it's Dutch. Strand, as in Strand Beast. Does that mean your surname will be Beast? Cool. Or German. I'll shut up. Anyway, who else is in? Models by Will. He popped in to say he can't make it. Yep. Phil East is in. Dave, why's the rum gone Barker? Oh, Ravel. Yeah, already started with the swearing, Dave. Tokyo Joe is in. Hey, Tokyo, welcome to the Treehouse podcast. More people will come in. Basically, what we'll try and do is, if you watch the e-model streams on a Monday, TK is normally doing the modding. TK's there. Hey, TK.
That's the man.
Yep, so he's not in the chat modding. So we are moderator free tonight, but we'll keep an eye on the chat as best we can. We'll just waffle on for an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. Come up with some questions and stuff for us to talk about because we'll be desperate for content.
Yeah, I'll be here I'll be here until I get a text from the wife saying, "Are you coming in? Have you put the cat out? Can you put the laundry in?"
Yeah, can you bring the laundry in with you?
Or can you put the laundry out and put the cat in?
Yeah, you've got the cat in the dryer and burn the laundry, feed the laundry.
Yeah.
So yes, ask any questions. We'll talk about anything. It doesn't have to be about doesn't have to be about model making. It can be about anything. Obviously, we're a model making group, but it can be about anything you want. We'll try our best to follow the chat, but if you've got a question, put the question in all capitals so it stands out for us. We do have super chat if you want to pay money, and then the comment will stand out even more, but you don't need to do that. Just put your question in big capital letters and we'll see it a mile away. We have 2 questions already, but I'll go through the introductions first. With me, as always, well, I was going to say as always, but most of them are missing. 2 of the Treehouse members. We have Mr. Ted from Skipper Scale Model. How are you doing, Tedward?
Good evening to you all. Good evening.
I'll lock the camera as you speak. How are you doing, Ted? How's your life been? How's the model building? And all the other questions.
The model build, I've been cracking on with the U-boat engine. I've been looking forward to, I've been looking at getting a live update for it. However, on building the model, I've been thinking a couple of things because it gives you time to think when you sat at the bench. I've been thinking what I'll do an interim where we're up to, because I've been sort of away from it for so long. I'll do an interim where we're up to, but then I'll put it all together in a video format, so you're still going to get your build videos. I think that's the best way to go about it. It's just I've been away from the bench for so long for so many different reasons, but I am here. It's still going on. There's millions of bits gone on there, and it's so labour intensive, but it's coming together. So that's what I've been doing. That and painting and decorating walls as well.
For those who may not know, Ted's working on the Trumpeter 1/48 scale 7C U-boat. It's like 15 feet long.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah,
it's massive. Now, next to Ted in the well, as far as I can see, next to Ted in the list of people taking part, of the three of us, my good friend TK from TK's Models. By the way, to all the people watching, if you've not seen one of these before, the banners in their screens, that's their YouTube channels. You obviously know mine because you're on it, Model Making Guru. But do give these guys a subscription as well, TK's Models and Skipper Scale Models.
That one down there.
They all do good stuff. Yeah, they all do good stuff because we're all in the Treehouse. We're all model makers and YouTubers. That's what we are. Now TK usually never gets his banner at the bottom to work. So
No.
you've got something you can hold up, TK, that pimps your shizzle.
Yeah.
You might have to that for a while for your 1 frame a day video feed.
Is it still that bad?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So yeah.
There you go. On the YouTube with TK's Model, so do give him a subscription. How are you doing, TK? How the devil are you? And have you had time at the bench in the last few weeks at all?
I've been at the bench. I did the tiny 1/24 scale Star Wars Blame Falcon crew. That's about all I did at the bench. Been busy working in my own backyard, just trying to come up with a plan to change my garden, just to start school and get a little bit of a head start, because my school starts next week.
Just for those that may not know, when you say start school, you're clearly not 14.
No, I've changed my career from being in IT to being a professional gardener. So I need schooling to know all the millions of plant names and landscaping stuff and all that.
How is your Latin, TK?
Pretty bad, actually.
Structure not so bad. The actual words, yeah, that's something else.
Yeah, I'll probably learn the plant names. If I can get a job in actual private gardens, that will be easier. But as it looks now, I will be mainly working in like communal areas in cities, you know, blowing leaves around.
Contract work for local government and things like that.
Yeah, so that's not really what I aimed for, but yeah, that's life. So you get to start somewhere.
It's a steady income while you develop your own little clientele.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you are watching in the Netherlands and you want your garden pimping, there's the man.
Yeah. In about 2-3 years' time.
Yeah.
All these Latin names of plants that he probably makes up because he knows that most people don't know anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a such and such. Idicus. People will be impressed.
It's a green plant. That should do.
It's a plant. It does stuff. There you go.
Yeah. But we it's not like these gardening programs where we'll put this insert Latin name here. We'll put a green thing over there with a red one behind it. And,
and the flowers will turn a color at about that time of the year, so it will look awesome.
Yeah, and don't eat it because it will kill you.
Probably, yeah.
Or if you don't like your neighbour's dog, give him one of these as a gift and let him plant it. Don't tell him. Excellent.
That will be cool.
Yes. Alrighty, well that's the introductions done. I won't go for anybody else because nobody else is here. I don't know. You try and plan these. This is why we only do these once a month, because it's really hard for us to get. Because Adam's in the US, TK's in the Netherlands, Ted and I are in the UK, Ant's in the UK, obviously, as Tony, but they've got loads of other commitments for their time. So it's really hard for us to all get together. So we take what we can get when it comes to the Treehouse podcasts. Now, we have had some questions. I'll get these questions done first. We do have some news as well, but I'll get the questions done first before they disappear and I lose them. Dave Weiser from Gunpla says, Tommy says hello. Hi, Tommy.
Hello, Tommy.
You two know his son, Tommy. Well, not personally, you know him, but I need to trim my beard because it's just at the length where it's irritating my top lip. I need to trim this.
You don't need to do it live on air, though.
No, I don't. That's not going to happen live on air. But you know, when like those of you who have beards of the male persuasion out there, when you get too long in the moustache and it just kind of tickles the top lip, it's really doing my head in. I need to trim it.
Like that once.
Yeah. Kenneth says, question, how is Destiny 2? Destiny 2 is awesome. TK's not got it yet. Ted doesn't know what it is, and I've almost finished the campaign. It's really good. I've not finished the campaign yet. I won't give any spoilers, but it's more Destiny. Let's just put it that way. If you didn't like the original vanilla Destiny, you're probably not going to find anything new and great in Destiny 2. But if you like Destiny, it's like that with a bit of story. And the post-story activities seem to be quite good. I'm enjoying it. It's a bit easy going through the story, but I think the focus is to get you through the story, and then you can do all the after-game stuff and the PvP and everything else. So it's very good. It's very good. Looks fantastic on Xbox One. Probably looks a bit better on PS4 Pro. Will look even better on PC when it comes out on PC next month. And hopefully it'll look good on Xbox One X when I get mine in November. I ordered an Xbox One X. So yes, Destiny 2 is good. On that note, we have set up a clan. If you do play Destiny on PS4, PC, or Xbox, we've set up a clan on Bungie.net called the Boomhut Stroops, Stroops. If you do play Destiny and you're not in a clan, join a clan. Feel free. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll get XP on the back of everybody else because clan members earn XP towards the clan, and then you get rewards, in-game rewards, probably. Something like that. It's very confusing. So if you're not in a clan, feel free. Join the Boomhut Stroops. Go to Bungie.net and check it out. Chris from Gross Models. Now, before I read his question, I made him a promise. It's Chris's birthday today.
Oh my god.
And I promised him we'd sing him happy birthday.
Right. Oh, you don't want to hear me sing, really?
Yeah, we do. We've got to do it, TK. Got to do it. So on the count of 3, happy birthday to Chris. So get your uvula working and your vocal cords relaxed. And we've got the headlines just coming in. Right, you ready? On the count of 3.
Is it Chris?
It's Chris, yes.
It's Chris.
You can call him Daphne if you want.
Yeah. I just need to know for when we get to that bit.
Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you.
Wait a minute. Well, left me on my own there at the start. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Should we try that again? We're making Google flip out, doesn't it? To focus on that. Right. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Like it's terrible.
Birthday, Chris. Happy birthday to you.
La la la. That was terrible.
Yeah.
It's what we do best.
Yeah, Team Inept. Hashtag Team Inept. Trying to sing a song all together when you've all got leg between each other, it's not. Work. There you go, Chris. I did promise you.
Yeah. Hopefully, Chris is duly embarrassed now.
Chris is probably mortified and logging off as we speak. Probably, in fact, it's probably just, I don't know. Anyway, I shall read Chris's quick quiz. I shall read Chris's question. He says, "Where is model making chicken?"
Model making chicken is still around, and she's in bed. We never saw her this season, did we? I did keep promising that she was going to come and make a guest appearance, but with everything else happening and it being difficult enough to get videos out anyway, I'll take a picture of it and I'll post a picture in the boom hole. How's that? The chicken.
She's old now, model making chicken. She's past middle age, so like 7 o'clock in the evening, it's past bedtime for her.
Like Cinderella, she has to be in bed before dark.
Yeah. Although I have to say, we never see Ted and model making chicken in the same room at the same time. See.
Yeah. Keep watching. I'll post a picture of model making chicken for you all.
Good. We did have another question. Let's have a look. Do we have another question? Have we got another question?
Yeah, Dave, where's the rum gone? TK, have you sorted out the nano tank for the shrimp yet?
Oh, yes.
No. It's going to take a few months, actually. I have to keep changing out the water gradually. And then the toxins should disappear, and I have to test and test and test and test. And then I could do re-shrimpening part 2, maybe.
Yeah, re-shrimpening. But I think you said to me you're going to leave it for like 6 months, aren't you, for the tank to sort of...
Yeah, but I've been reading up on it, so I may be able to do it a little bit quicker.
Yeah. For those that don't know, that little tank in the corner left behind TK shelves is the shrimp tank.
Yeah, the shrimp tomb.
Yeah, for a while we had shrimp cam where you could watch these little shrimps doing their shrimpy things, or shrimply, and until they all died of death, all at the same time. So, yes, we await the re-shrimpening.
Yep.
Yeah. Paul Stewart says, question for the TK: what plants do you recommend for relatively deep shadow?
Oh, there's a whole...
That's next week's lesson.
Yes.
Yeah, I should.
I'm assuming what plants do well in low light situations, basically.
Ferns, ferns for once, yeah, for one, yeah. But you should probably...
I'm guessing anything that would grow at the bottom of a forest canopy at the floor would be like ferns and stuff. And
yeah, it's probably best off at your local garden center because they have the local varieties of your area of the world.
Yeah,
it's shadow plants are there are a lot of shadow plants that love shade. It depends on how deep the shade is and all that kind of thing. Yeah. So
forest floor dwellers. There is another gardening question. Welcome to Gardeners Question Club.
Yeah.
Dave Wiserum Gumbarker.
Charge for this question.
Dave Wiserum Gumbarker says, TK, I have a problem with Japanese knotweed. How do I get rid of it without a flamethrower? Even I know you don't.
If it's a weed, probably if you are able and get a piece of thick plastic or tarp and you just cover that piece of ground off for about a year. The roots won't get any food because of the leaves won't get any light, so they may die.
It's actually kind of a trick question I threw you there, TK, because in the UK you're legally not allowed to do anything with it. You have to contact a special company that disposes of it.
Okay.
It's that stuff that grows at like 4 feet a day.
It was
is it like bamboo or something?
No, it's just like a vine type thing, but it grows like 4 or 5 feet a day. And you see those photographs like of some like house in America where the whole house and the car in the driveway.
Yeah.
It's that stuff. It's actually illegal to have it over here.
It's a bit of trivia for you. I understand that it was introduced by the railway companies to hold the embankments together.
Yes, but the problem is if it grows in your house or near your house, it can actually really mess your house up. And it's actually been, I saw a story once where somebody bought a brand new build house for like 350 grand. They moved in, 2 weeks later they had Japanese knotweed growing in the house from outside. And they had to demolish the house because you can't get rid of it. If it's a serious question, David, you can't get rid of it. You have to contact your local council. They will arrange for someone to take it away because you have to dispose of it in a very certain way. I only know this because I researched it for some reason or another. Your local council will arrange for someone who is trained and qualified to dispose of it. If you try and pull it up and throw it away, you'll just spread it. It's really hard to get rid of. It has to be disposed of in a certain way. So don't dig it up. You'll just spread it. Leave it where it is. Contact your council ASAP and they will deal with it. Because if you leave it, you'll have no garden in about a month. It'll just be, your house will be gone. Your children will starve. You'll be living on the street. So yeah, don't touch it. It's illegal.
Yeah, we have this plant that has roots that grow 3, 4, 5 meters into the soil. You never get rid of those as well. But if you put a piece of plastic or tarp over it, they actually may die off because they don't get any sunlight.
Yeah, the problem with knotweed is if you put a piece of tarp down, you go back the next day, it's grown 6 feet away from the tarp. It literally grows about a foot in a day. It's hated the world around. If you just look online for Japanese knotweed, it's just like, why is the world not covered in this stuff? So yeah, one thing you can't thank the Japanese for. Anyway, yes, let's go away from the gardening.
We missed a question at the top for Tokyo Joe. Do you guys ever build models without filming them for YouTube? Do you build models without filming them for YouTube?
You can go first on that one, Ted.
I try to, but it doesn't always happen.
1 sec.
Okay.
As much
You're
as
going for PTK, we can still hear you.
yeah, we can still hear GK. I have had a model which I've decided to build and not film, but time is so taken up with building for YouTube and free models that I don't really get much chance to go to do it, but I would like to. Over to you.
Yes, I like Ted would absolutely love to make stuff off camera. When you're filming stuff, it does. A lot of people think it's fun to do video builds and do this stuff on YouTube, and it is.
Yeah.
But it does make life a lot harder because you can't just sit down and glom onto it and do it. You do spend a lot of time planning what you're going to film, building a bit of film in it, then you go and edit the footage, and then you put the program together, and then so it does draw the process out. And sadly, at the moment, I just don't have time to do my own builds. Right now, at the moment, there's been quite a few things going on in my life, so I've been struggling to get content up anyway. I've got the big Master Chief build that I'm trying to get out of the way ASAP. I've got my Eagle build for E-models, and because they're both massive builds, I can only do one at one time. Ideally, I make smaller kits where I can double up and do 2 or 3 builds at the same time. But I'm struggling with that at the minute because there's other stuff going on in my life that I'm having to deal with. So ideally, I'd love to. I just don't get the time, because if I spend 2 weeks building a kit and not filming it, that means patron supporters don't get anything, and non-patron supporters don't get anything, and nothing happens on my channel for no real good reason. Right now, I said there's a lot of good reasons why I'm not filming, but that will be I almost see it as a bit selfish. If I can fit one in alongside a filmed build, then I will do, but it's not ideal. But hey, I'm not complaining. I wouldn't have it any other way. How about you, TK? What do you?
Yeah, I got this Warhammer fly type thing that I'm just building off and on beside other models, because it's easy. Because it's brush painting, so I don't need to extra clean out my airbrush, which I hate. So yeah, I'm not filming that. It's just for my personal preference, enjoyable time. I don't know how to call that, but yeah.
Paul Stewart actually says technically TK does awful stuff, but makes the awful stuff look bloody amazing, like that bloody Italeri Blackbird.
That's what we all do. That's what we all do.
Yeah.
In answer to Dave's question about knotweed, going back to gardening, as we do on a model making program, Chris from Gross Model said it's basically C4 or a flamethrower.
Yeah.
But with C4, you would spread it even more. And then...
Yeah, you just give it to all your neighbours, and then all your neighbours would hate you, and they'd all get swamped by it and die. Let's have a look. Backstep says nothing like chomping on the moustache when chomping on a sandwich. When I was saying about the moustache being too, I was eating pizza earlier on, and I took a big mouthful of pizza, and it was like all the pizza went in, but these little bits of hair kind of went in as well. I'm like, I can't. And I couldn't. It was horrible. So I need to
sit like that constantly.
Yeah, well, you can get, being a British gentleman, of course, there are things like you can get things that go on a cup of tea that are designed to go to keep your moustache up above the cup so you can drink. That's a very Victorian thing.
My mum and dad have one from the 1970s somewhere with a little moustache thing.
Yeah, moustache protector. Mine's not quite long enough that I can tease it out into a sticky out kind of thing yet.
Do you have one of them things like Hercule Poirot? Do you have a little net that you put your beard in of a night before you go to bed?
No. Mine isn't quite a lumberjack beard. It's more a kind of, I probably work in engineering kind of beard, but not in cool engineering.
Open university type.
Yeah, kind of mine's more like a Will from Tested at the moment rather than a lumberjack, but there you go. Dave Wazram Garbar. Dave, did you have to make your name so unpronounceable the first time?
No.
Why is the rum gone Barker? I can pronounce it. It's just every time I try and say it, my mouth falls over. Dave Barker says, Fox, I joined the clan ready for PC. Good man. Have you played Destiny 1 at all or anything similar? I think you've played some games anyway, haven't you? Yes, a few of you have said you're getting Destiny on PC when it comes out next month, Destiny 2. So we look forward to having you in the clan. Let's have a look.
Chris, happy birthday.
Paul Stewart says rar. And then he says, Paul Stewart says, are you sure it's Chris and not Paul Fox? Don't mess with me like that. I don't know, because now they've changed it. I've got a Facebook conversation ongoing with Chris and Paul, because we're the three that do the Destiny streams, and they've changed their names now so many times that sometimes I don't know which of them is Chris and which of them is Paul, because they're like Chris brackets not Paul, or Paul not Chris. So now I'm not sure whose birthday it is. Thanks, Paul, possibly, or Chris. Shut up. I just get confused. Tommy says, happy birthday, Chris. Wait, hang on. Let's have a look. See what's in the chat. Throw your questions in. Anything we can talk about. I'll leave the chat tick over for a little bit. We have some news, or there is some news. I don't know if you guys have any model making news, but I have a news story. Do I have more than one story? I have a story. Most of you probably know, but Bandai have released now at the end of August the 1/48 scale mega size unicorn Gundam. This thing is massive. It is 400 and something. It's like 48 centimeters tall. It's the biggest Gundam kit they've ever done, aside from the 5-foot tall display ones. If you've not checked it out, check it out. It's like 70 quid. It's a mega size, so it's super simple construction. It's a bit like a very simple high grade. It's in destroy mode if you know Unicorn Gundam, but it's huge. I've got one on order. I've just had to pay the customs for it, arse. But that should be with me hopefully in the next few days. And then at some point in the far-flung future, I will do a build and film of it. I'm planning on doing like a live stream build, like putting it together on camera and hanging out in chat. Now, I actually watched the other day Zach over at Zach Aurelius on the YouTubes. If you don't follow him, follow him. He's got an awesome channel. He did a live snap together of it in 2 parts. I was in there. I was in the chat having a good time. And I'd actually planned to do a live stream. So I was like, oh, I can't do one now because you've done one. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. You still go and do yours. Doesn't matter. So I will at some point do a live snap together of it. Just so have a live stream. But yes, if you're into your Gunpla and you like big things, go and check it out. It's available from places like Hobbling Japan and every Japanese trade you can ever think of. I don't know if Japan Cool have it in stock yet. They may well do. Go and check it out. I'm sure they can get it if they haven't. And other UK traders if you're in the UK. But check it out. It's massive. It's going to dominate your model collection. So mega size Unicorn Gundam. I don't know if they'll do a Unicorn mode one. They probably will do. But this is destroy mode. So that is my model making news story. I think that was it.
Can you imagine that'd be a good size if anybody's clever enough to make it RC control so it walks or
you probably could actually. I'm sure Will could work his magic and electrify it and put joints in it somehow. It's a really simple construction. It's just a joint piece in the bottom leg and the top leg. There's probably a way to do it, but it is massive.
Sorry, this is me trying to be smart and thinking it'd be a good idea, but I don't even know what it looks like. So
it's big. Big. If you know your Gunplas, it is big.
Yeah. Where are we up to?
Just going to block Thick Boy because you're no longer welcome in the chat. Goodbye.
Oh yeah, I just saw that.
If you're going to be in the chat, be nice. Don't be a dick. Follow the Will Wheaton law. Don't be a dick. Because there's no mods in there. But you know what? This is our channel. I own this channel. You're a dick in the chat. You're gone. End of.
Yeah. It's always somebody comes in just to spoil it or.
Yes, but hey, most of these guys in there from the Boom Hut are similar, so we're awesome. So apologies, people in the chat.
Yeah, and if you do see anybody and we don't spot them, just point them out to us and we'll do our bit.
Yep, just put a comment in there in big capital letters and we'll spot it.
Speaking of capital letters, Kenneth M, we'll go back to the questions on model making. How long does Starship Filth Gunk Wash take to dry?
Yay, Starship Filth Gunk Wash.
Hey, what's that then? Never heard of it.
Who wants to answer that one?
You can. It's your babe.
Oh, go on then. I'm doing all the talking. Hey, wait, what's new? Starship Filth Gunk Wash, for those of you who don't know, let's pretend that's a piece of a model. You get yourself some, just happen to have some here. Get yourself some 502 Abteilung Starship Filth oil paint. It's the best colour in the world. You get your piece, you get a brush, you slap it on. Ted, what do you do?
Slap it on!
Yep, you slap it on. You cover it in oil paint, and then you rub the oil paint off with a soft cloth. And what you're left with is all the oil paint in the recesses and grooves, and it tints it ever so slightly. It's a good way to colour a piece like a filter and also do all your panel lining at the same time. Rub it off, and then you leave it for at least 5 days, because oil paint takes forever to dry. So at least 5 days. You can leave it longer, there's no harm. If you've done a really, really thick one, leave it longer if you can. Cover it up somehow so it's not going to pick up dust. And then after 5 or more days, just get a cotton bud and gently rub it over. If you don't get any paint coming off, you're good to go. You can go ahead and then give it a varnish coat, either matte or gloss varnish, depending on what weather you're in, you've got to come. But at least 5 days. I've never had a problem putting matte varnish over oil paint that's been drying for 5 days, that's been done as a gunk wash, because you get most of it out. It's just some of the little recesses, it might be quite thick. So at least 5 days. There you go, Kenneth. I look forward to seeing what you're gunk washing and how. I know what you're working on because I've seen the pictures, so I look forward to seeing that. Is it the first time? Kenneth, is it the first time you've gunk washed? I'm sure you've gunk washed before. I'm sure it has. I look forward to seeing that anyway.
Yeah, it works. Always works. I've been using it quite a bit on my submarine building, all the little crooks, all the little bits in here, and where I can't get paintbrush and things like that, I find that I can get it in and apply it with a cotton bud. Sometimes I just apply the oil neat, and it works just as well. Just leave it for a bit, wipe it off, and it's good to go.
It really is. The best way to think of it is it's perfect if, like me, you're a lazy arse. I didn't invent it, but I kind of came up with it by myself and then realized it's actually a common technique in movie model making industry. It's something like Adam Savage has shown on camera saying, I used to do this, because I came up with it myself and talked about it, and then I saw Adam Savage doing it. I'm like, oh, that's a gunk wash. Got different names, but it's just a really simple way of tinting a model, filling in all the panel lines and grooves, and just giving it an overall dirty and weather look without having to do a dot filter, an oil paint filter, panel line washes, and 18 different stages. It's a very quick down and dirty way to make your model look shaded. It also gives you a bit of pre-shading as well, post shading. So it's kind of 16 different things in one. Do it over a gloss coat. You get the best results with a gloss coat because most of the paint will come off the flat areas. But it is a really quick way of doing stuff.
I find it a very good basis for the first stage of weathering, using that, and it tones it down, gives the model a bit of a grimy, dirty look, and then you can build up on that.
I haven't got anything here I can show that's been gunk washed. I mean, I've got the Master Chief's helmet, which I gunk washed, but it won't really come out camera. This was just basically flat. Onto me while TK goes across the floor. This was just basically flat green, but it's now been, there's other stuff on there, but it's been gunk washed. So all the little recesses like in there and these little panel lines here, they've just been picked out with that darker color. And Starship Filth is a fantastic color because it's like a dirty, dark bluey brown. It just kind of works with anything. So give it a go. Do it on a gloss coat.
This has been gunk washed.
Oh, let me lock it on you. Hang on.
I don't know if it comes out on camera, but probably the light is too much sucky. I could maybe fix that too.
I think if you just hold it still, because we're getting some like clippiness. So if you hold it still, we should.
Yeah, let me get that
shot. The light is fine.
Now it is.
There you go.
So that's been gunk washed with Starship Filth.
Yeah, it just gives this nice kind of. It almost lets you do away with pre-shading as well, because it does naturally collect, not just in the recesses, but around edges and curves. It just naturally, when you rub it off in one direction, so it just leaves that shadow in the recesses. It just kind of, it does about 6 things in one. It's a brilliant technique. I'm so glad I came up with it because I am the laziest person in the world. So
everybody's using it now. It's become a byword in modelling, really. You hear even under the Facebook pages people talking about gunk washes. So
I know, I'm surprised because I just made the name up. I'm like, what am I going to call this? Because I did it, and I was like, I was sat there and I was doing something. I thought, I wonder what happens if. So I just tried it, and I'm like, brilliant! I'm going to use this all the time because it's really that simple. And I just thought, what should I call it? I'll call it oil paint gunk wash. No, I've seen it around.
Yeah. Robert Blacklock says it's leaving a part to dry for 5 days is like leaving a cake alone for 5 days. Impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of even worse though when you're doing a film build, because it means you can't do anything for 5 days, especially something big. You can't just put it all away and clear the space on your desk. So small build you can. Grosser, Paul Stewart says, I found when we were talking about videoing builds and how it breaks up the flow and you've got to plan everything, he says, this is why I don't want to do video builds. I don't want that pressure. But Chris at Gross Model says, I find it helps me focus and get things finished. Yeah, you do kind of give yourself a deadline to finish it. So
yeah, it's difficult though when you come to do a video build and you've got to think, well, what is worth showing in this part to make it interesting? Because you want people to watch it. You don't want to just see people gluing part A to part B and part B to part C, and then we had part D, and we glue it all together, and there we are. You've got to make it interesting. Yeah, that's the difficult part about doing video builds, is finding something different to show you each time without repeating what's gone on in the previous videos. That's the hard part about it, is finding and keeping the flow going.
I mean, the one thing that kind of made me feel better about it is that I always have the assumption in my head that if somebody's watching a video of mine, I mean, if you look at all my video build series, they're all kind of the same thing every time. It's here's a kit, let's do a bit of building, some of the building, we'll do all the painting. They always follow basically the same process, and it is true. It's hard to show new things because there's not always something new you can show. But I always take the frame of mind that somebody might be doing a search for, let's say, 1/35th Sherman tank, how to paint it. And if I just happen to be building that, they might find my video, and it might be the first time they've ever seen any of my videos. So they might watch the whole series. They might not have watched my other series. So I always work on the assumption that the person I'm talking to is an absolute beginner, doesn't know how to do anything that I'm going to show them, and it might be the first time they've actually watched my stuff. And that makes me feel a bit better about showing the same stuff all the time. There's always new things we come across that we show, but sometimes, like Ted says, you are just showing the same things over and over because they might be the best techniques to use. How do you find the whole filming and building process, TK?
Yeah, sometimes really tedious. I haven't made a film in quite some time now because I just can't find the mojo to actually do it. So
plus your workroom has been like 8,000 degrees as well.
Yeah, it's been summer, so it's been really hot in here as well. It's actually not that bad now, but yeah, I'm looking at my Horton and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Oh, I have to film this. Just want to quickly put it together so I can start on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, that's the problem, is when you get the good stuff in your stash, you're like, I'm bored of whatever I'm making now. Can I move on to the other thing that I want to make?
Yeah.
But then you go on to that and you're like, right, I'm bored of this now. Can I move on to that other thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's stuff in life that sometimes intervenes. So yeah, it's like, I'm gonna film today. Oh no, shit, I have to do other stuff, and then you come home at night and then you're tired and don't feel like anything. And for me, it's also, I have to translate Dutch into English in my head while I'm talking, so it's an extra effort. So yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that problem, so I suppose that's an extra thing for you.
So the next video you do will be in Dutch then.
Yeah,
that's exactly how it goes for me. Set out in the morning, going to work, I'm driving the car to work thinking, right, when I get home tonight, I'm going to do this bit, I'm going to film this, and I'm going to build this, I'll put that together. And you get home and you just sit in the chair, have your dinner, and you think, oh, I could just shut my eyes and go to sleep for 10 minutes. And then it's 9 o'clock, it's too late. Or you come in and you think, right, I'm going to film, right, I've got to get this bit ready. Sugar, I need to paint that, and then I need to glue that on there, so I can't do any filming tonight. That's how it goes.
Yeah, it's always the way. I mean, I don't work now in a job. This is what I do. The model making gear stuff is my full-time job. But when I was in a job of work, it was like I spend all day in the office. I want to do that. I want to get home. I've got this plan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm dead excited about it. And then I get home and I'd be like, I just want to sit on the edge and watch 17 episodes of DS9 because I'm knackered. Tokyo Joe says, thank you so much for answering my question. I'd love to be a part of the Treehouse Club one day. Ha, yeah. The Treehouse Club, not everybody will know this, but the Treehouse Club is a very small group solely for model making YouTubers, and it's a very small group. There's only what, 7 or 8 of us, and it's invitation only. Basically, it's a small group, and we are all model makers, and we are all YouTubers, and we believe in teaching other people how to do what we do. And basically, the way it works is that every now and then someone will come along that we will all notice, and we'll all have a conversation and say, we really like this person's work on YouTube. They're all right. We think they should be part of the Treehouse Club, and we'll have a consensus. Someone will reach it, and then that person gets invited. It's very rare that happens. There's been nobody new added to the Treehouse Club in how long are we going? 3 years.
Yeah. There's been good. I should point out there's been some fantastic models out there, but we don't know them. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the main things are we don't really care if the person is good or bad model maker, because we're always looking for people to join the Treehouse. But it's one of those things that we will invite you if you get noticed. You don't necessarily have to be a good model maker, but what we look for is someone that has a passion for teaching others how to do what they do, and that they do it on the YouTubes. It's someone that loves showing other people how to do something, and not saying the way I do it is the best, but saying here's a way to do it, or there may be other. Just somebody who loves teaching and communicating what they're doing. So we're very picky. However, that is why we set up the Model Makers Boom Hut, which you might not know is Treehouse in Dutch, which is actually pronounced Boomhut, but nobody'd know. That doesn't sound as cool. Sorry, TK, doesn't sound as cool. So the Model Makers Boom Hut is like the public version of the Treehouse. So although people being added to the Treehouse is very rare, and don't sit there waiting for it, the Boom Hut is open to everybody. YouTubers, non-YouTubers, like it's just a completely public group. I can't put the link here because we're on a live stream, but it's just facebook.com/groups/model boom BOOM hut HUT. Can one of you guys put that in chat for me? Actually, I'll do it in a second. I'll do it now. I shall type and talk at the same time. facebook.com/groups/model boom. I can't type and talk at the same time. Failing. Model Boom Hut. There you go. That's the public group, because we don't just add people to the Treehouse. It's not an exclusive club, but it's a very specific requirement club, and it's not really to aspire to. It's just 7 or 8 guys that are kind of idiots, and we do YouTube and we hang out. But the Boom Hut is a place for everybody to go, from absolute beginner to total professional, and it's your comfy lounge. It's your version of the Treehouse Club. Myself and the Treehouse members, we kind of get involved a little bit, but we don't do that much. We just leave you to it. It's super friendly, super encouraging environment. There's no rivet counting, no snarking, no bitchiness, and it's your Treehouse Club. So if you're not in the Boom Hut, go and join it. It's a little Facebook group. There's just over 2,000 people now, and they're all really awesome. A lot of the people in chat tonight are from the Boom Hut. And on that, at the end, we will have it. We are announcing it. We've announced a giveaway. I'll tell you about that in a bit. So yes, don't aspire to join the Treehouse, because it might never happen. It's invite only, and you have to impress us. We have to go, that person will fit in. We need to make sure that person fits in with our personalities as well. So
I'm only in because they needed a gardener. So yeah.
Because you needed what?
A gardener.
we needed a gardener, so we let TK in.
Yeah, we needed someone to advise about
read Latin for us.
Yeah. We only let Adam join because he's really loud, so we couldn't say no. Because if we didn't let him join, you'd hear him anyway. No, we love all this little group. We're all idiots. We love each other.
Yeah, Tony's in just because we couldn't get rid of him.
Yeah. A bit like the clap. Once you got it, you can't.
Just used to hang around the back door, and he could never get rid of him.
Yeah, and Will's in because obviously Will's just an adorable little flightless bird, so you can't turn a kiwi down, can you? So yes, don't aspire to be in the Treehouse. It's just there's many people we've thought about asking to the Treehouse, but we haven't. There's many people we've looked at and thought no chance. They have to be a YouTuber. They have to have a personality that would fit exactly with our kind of dumbass personality. So it's not something to aspire to, and don't be offended if you're never invited. It doesn't mean we think you're rubbish. It just means
it's not something that really happens. It's just become like an admin page now for the Boom Hut, really.
Yeah, basically. I mean, we're all just a group of friends, effectively. So there you go. Now I've missed the comments for a while now. So
right. Does the gunk wash smell?
What?
Kenneth says, does the gunk wash smell?
It smells just like oil paint.
Yeah,
lovely
like
smell.
It's
a lovely smell. Nothing beats the smell of oil paint.
Yeah, you could use oil paint and odorless thinners. Odorless, remember, that's not new order.
Yeah, we don't need thinners for a gunk wash, but
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was thinking, pin washing.
pay attention.
Oh, right. Do you, Rod Hobby Corner says, do you benefit from becoming an IPS member if you only go to Telford?
For those who don't know, IPMS is the International Plastic Scale Modeler Society.
Yeah.
Yep.
Apart from going to Telford, it's certainly worth joining it just to go to Telford, because you save a wad on getting in and you get preferential entry, and you also get preferential entry to the kit swap at Telford. A lot of it sounds like it's centered around Telford.
I'm assuming they have, because they're all over the world, aren't they? So I assume in your country, you'll get a discount on local events and things like that.
Yeah. They do organise discounts. They do organise IPMS groups. I don't know what it's in your area. If there is one, it would be in a magazine. You get a magazine each month. What else do you get? Get access to all the decal swap. There's a big sort of bank somebody looks after of decals. Also, if you lose your instructions, you can ask for a copy of such from the sort of archives. There's lots of benefits. They have their own website. I am a member. I actually don't visit the website very much, and I generally just keep the membership for getting into Telford. That's about it. Yeah, but there's
it is a big international group, and as far as I know, it's one of the biggest ones. It might be the only big international group. There's certainly benefits. You'll meet up with lots of builders in your region, wherever that may be in the world. So yeah, if you can afford the membership, I don't see a reason not to. It's like any big group or association related with any kind of pastime or hobby. It's always worth meeting up with other people. And I know there are IPS meets all over the world, in all different places, and often that means then you get to put your things in shows and things like that. So I mean, I can't remember if I'm a paid up member or not. I don't think I am. I might be. I can't remember. I don't think I am. I think I was, and then I forgot to renew. I mean, I don't submit work to shows, so.
Yeah, that's it. That's another advantage as well. If you want to enter competitions, you have to be an IPS member to enter the Telford one.
Yes. They don't have a non-member category, do they?
No, you have to be a member to enter the competition. Where else was that?
Let's have a look. I'm way back on the chat now.
Yeah.
I'm just going past all the comments that I deleted from that particular person. I just noticed that TK timed it out, then Ted banned him, and then I banned him as well.
Yeah, he came back in.
He came back, yeah.
Yeah, somehow.
How did he come back in after he was banned?
I don't know. I reported him anyway, so.
I think that just reports him to us.
No, I didn't report to Google.
Oh, right, okay.
A channel.
It's just one of those things. Kenneth says yes, it is the first time he's doing a gunk wash.
Oh, right.
You'll love it. Dead easy. Not hard at all.
Yeah. Let's see a picture of it when you're finished. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Stewart says, to be honest, a gunk wash alone is a great beginner's weathering method. Even that alone can make a big difference to the final look of the kit. Yeah, one of my video series was how to do a Gunpla really easily for an absolute beginner. It was just cover it in oil paint and buff it and rub it off, and that's it. But it can add so much depth. Philly says, agreed, Paul. I gunked a Millennium Falcon toy and it looked better than my full weathered kit. There are some situations where you can't do a gunk wash, and a big Millennium Falcon model is one of those, like the fine molds or the Bandai 1/72nd, because there's so many little delicate parts, you'll just ping them all off. So when I did my big Millennium Falcon, my 1/72nd fine molds, I used a thin wash of Tamiya smoke. I didn't use a gunk wash because I knew if I started rubbing it, all the bits would snap off and I'd have sadness. So yeah, wear gloves. It will go everywhere, and put an apron on or something over you, because you'll get it on your elbow. If you don't get any paint on your elbow, oil paint on your elbow, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, and you're guaranteed that you got your gloves on, you'll be gunked up, and you'll get an itchy nose or an itchy eye, and you're trying to get the itch, but it won't go. So, yep.
Paul Stewart says, isn't it pronounced bum hat for the boom hook? Yes. And Chris says, yes, bum hat. So it's the Modelmaker's bum hat. There you go.
I'm
going to try and read this. This is where TK will wince and Mrs. TK will probably say, I'm all right, I've lost it. Oh, hang on. There was a comment in Dutch. Where's it gone?
Right. Yeah, just under your comment.
TK, Fox spricht dat. I can't even read it, it's too far away. Fox spricht dat altijd uit gelijk een bom moet ontploffen. That's probably the worst Dutch ever. That wasn't even the try.
Yeah, close to the worst Dutch ever. Yeah.
The thing is, I never know how bad my Dutch is because TK always says it sucks, and Mrs. TK says it wasn't that bad.
Nah, Mrs. TK is always right, I'm told. So,
as far as you've been advised.
Yeah.
Lol, ja, Nederlandse les in November. Yes, I'll just move on from that now before I embarrass myself.
No, where's the rum gone? Yeah, well, that's more English. Yeah, the Bill. No, let's move on.
Ted, don't even try. You can't even pronounce English.
I can't even pronounce names, never mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rune Strand says, it's not easy for anyone to find the time for modelling. Lots of ideas, but I normally fall asleep in front of the TV watching Red Dwarf.
Oh, how can you fall asleep watching Red Dwarf? Even I watch Red Dwarf.
Even Ted, who doesn't even know what sci-fi is and has no concept of sci-fi, knows what Red Dwarf is. Yeah. The thing is, in modern day life, and I will admit this as well, it's very easy for me to have a choice between doing some work or watching 35 episodes of Deep Space Nine or playing on the Xbox for an hour. And sometimes I do choose to sit on my ass and do nothing, which is bad of me, but I'm a human being, and sometimes I have to really force myself to the workbench, which is weird because it's something I love doing, but everybody goes through that. There are times when you look at the workbench and you go, I can't.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad because you've had downtime or you get a block. Sometimes it just happens. Richard Flanagan says, woohoo, finally had time to catch one of these. Welcome. He's in the shed supervising the laser.
Oh, right.
That's
some air defense from North Korea or something?
Yes. Is it like on the back of an ill-tempered sea bass? Is it one of those lasers? Laser. That just sounds awesome. I'm in the shed supervising the laser. Speak about your missus like that.
Is it? Yeah, he's laughing in a world domination type laugh.
Yeah, Dave, why's the rum gone? Says, no, Chris, why's the rum gone is Dutch for short, daft northern person. Question from Chris. Question, Treehouse, who's actually met in person?
I deny everything.
Yep, I have met Ted in person. We have met at Telford's and we went to eModels a couple of times. And I've met Tony in person because he doesn't live very far from me, oddly enough.
And Ant, we met Ant as well.
Yes, we met Ant at the Telford and I forced him to buy a Gundam that he hasn't even made yet.
Yeah, we must have
got the full armor Gundam Origin thing with the 4 shields and he hasn't touched it yet. So yes, yeah. Tony, me, and Ted have all met in person.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the rest are in a different country, so it's a little bit more difficult.
Yes. Now TK is coming over for Telford this year, aren't you? I think he's still planning to.
The plan is to come over. The hotel has been booked, so.
Are you coming over for both?
Or any other things don't intervene, should be over at Telford in November.
Yep, and hopefully as well, fellow boom hunter Van der Zip, Benoit, will be coming over at the same time or with you.
And possibly maybe also Vincent.
Do you know, are you coming for both days, TK?
Well, we made a sort of vague plan and we might be able to just make it in the final hours of the Saturday, but we're aiming for Sunday.
Right, because I might have a change of plan. I might be just coming for the one day now because I don't think the submarine will be ready for the competition. It's not really worth hanging on for the 2 days, so I might just come for the one day now. Do a road trip.
Well, if all goes well, we'll arrive Saturday in the afternoon. So and then it will be me, the missus, Benoit, and Vincent.
Yeah. So what we could do, if any of you guys out there fancy coming along to Telford, we could perhaps arrange a boom hut meetup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to get there on the Sunday as well. There's a few things that are keeping it in the balance at the minute. Like I haven't booked a hotel, but that doesn't matter if I'm just coming down for one day.
Yeah, I might just come down.
Car passing its MOT is kind of a critical one, and I haven't bought a ticket yet. So I know you can get tickets on the door. So that's fine.
Get a ticket on the door.
Yeah, but I'm hoping to be there on the Sunday. But yeah, Ted, if we want to do like a boom hut meetup,
Yep.
I'm sure you'll recognise us with our faces and everything.
Yeah, we'll have the E-models jacket on, so yeah.
Well, it's still it'll be still too damn warm for that jacket. It's really nice, but it's really insulated.
And there's a bar as well. We could meet in the bar at a certain time, and we can all meet there. But we'll no doubt, if you're going, we'll no doubt see each other as we wander around with bags full of shopping.
Yeah, if you've been sleeping under a rock, then you might not know that when we keep saying Telford, we mean the IPS show at the Telford International Centre in November. Is it 9th or something like that? November.
Yeah, it's usually around Remembrance Weekend. For those in the UK, it's Remembrance Weekend at Telford in the International Centre. International Centre. Yeah. So, how far?
If you know your cars, it's where wax stock is held, usually the week after or the week before. I used to know because I used to work in a business where we would go to wax stock every year and have a stall. So I know wax stock. That's usually the week after, I think.
Yeah, Kenneth M says, how far is Telford from Melbourne? It's actually not too far.
Yeah, about 3 miles, 3-4 miles.
Just round the corner.
2 times half the distance, I think.
Yeah, probably about 1 billion miles. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, you could if you're coming, bring Will with you.
Yeah, bring Will. bring the crazy Kiwi with you.
Crossfade King is travelling from Essex. Yeah, not too far away. It's about the middle.
It's a good 2 or 3 hour drive for me, and it's a good 17-hour drive for Ted because he comes from like the third world somewhere in Cumbria.
Yeah, I come out of the mist. Yeah,
he's like a gorilla. Paul Stewart says because Chris asked Treehouse who's actually met in person. Paul Stewart says, I've met that gross models twonk a few 100 times. Does that count? Chris and Paul know each other. I think they like live next door to each other across the road or something. And they're the 2 guys that do the Destiny streams with me.
Across a Treehouse.
TK says, I did Chris. I don't want to know about that, thank you.
Yeah, it was mad. I've met me, so I was trying to be funny, but
question from Dave. Why is the room gone Barker? Question: do you know why nobody will ship the holographic decals for Gundams to the UK?
That's one for you.
Yeah, it's very hard to get spare anything for Gunpla outside of Japan. If you look in the instruction books, there's a little thing to fill out if you need spare parts. It's kind of just for Japanese people because Bandai are Japanese. There are companies that will take kits, split them apart, and sell the spares. And if you've got like a shop or a dealer that you're on good terms with, they can probably, if you're nice to them and they're decent, they can probably get you some of the clears. But I mean, I know in the past when I've had to get spare parts, I've had to, with let's say UK-based retailers, they've actually gone a whole mile for me. And what they've done is they've taken a kit, taken out the part, and then they can't sell that kit then, but they've gone that extra mile for me. So getting spare parts is a case of if you're outside Japan, your dealer probably can't get them because Bandai tend to just do that in Japan. So yeah, it's not easy.
One idea is the boom hut has become quite international now, and you can always maybe try putting a play out to anybody in the boom hut that might ship them third party for you.
Yeah, but remember, there's no buying and selling in the boom hut.
Yeah, not buying and selling, but you could arrange it.
Yeah, you can say, hey, PM me if you've got one.
Yeah.
Crossfade King says you should try a video on third-party Gundam kits, extra bits needed to get good results. I would do, but I actually personally won't buy a third-party Gundam kit because I believe I see them as illegal bootlegs. So I mean, if someone sends me one, I'll go make it, but I'm not gonna contribute to an illegal business, which is third-party bootlegs. It's a whole can of worms, the whole bootleg thing. They're a lot cheaper than Bandai kits, but then the quality isn't the same, and they're going to have issues. They're rip-offs. So personally, I wouldn't buy one. If you want a good example of Bandai versus knockoff, Zaku Aurelius on YouTube does a very good comparison of the Bandai Master Grade Buster Gundam and the, I think, Daban fake Master Grade Buster Gundam, or Buster Fight as they call it. It tells you everything you need to know. The quality just isn't there, and it is an illegal knockoff. So personally, I wouldn't buy one, and I wouldn't encourage someone to buy. I wouldn't say to someone, go and buy one of those, because you're taking the business away from Bandai. And if everybody went and bought bootlegs, Bandai just wouldn't make Gunpla anymore. And of course, remember, Bandai kind of part own the whole Gundam franchise. If they don't make the kits, they don't make the anime. So, but I know that people do, and I'm not going to stand there and say, "Oh my God, you've made a third-party knockoff. It's rubbish." I'm not going to be critical like that. I personally wouldn't buy or endorse buying them.
It's once these Chinese get into it. Yeah, I don't like anything.
They're just not as good. They made some of them are of Gunpla that you can't get elsewhere from Bandai, but they're just not as good. The quality is not there. The plastic isn't the same. Let's have a look. Danny P says this guy's the worst case of gingivitis I've ever seen. I don't get that.
I don't know. No, I missed that one. Maybe there's something going on. But
have you missed a conversation there, or some? Or one of us have particularly bad teeth? I don't know. My teeth aren't great. Let's have a look. A few people say you need to go on Sunday.
Yeah, I think if I'm going down, if it's not the 2 days, it will be the Sunday. So
yeah.
We could all eat noodles together. We'll have a grand noodle eating marathon.
Paul Stewart says Buster Gundam was the bloke who played Uncle Albert in Only Fools and Horses, wasn't he? Richard Flanagan says third party and bootleg are different in Gunpla. That's a good point. I suppose the original question was third party. So it depends whether you mean knockoff rip-offs or just third party like things like you get the busts, the heads, which are not made by Bandai. He says, for example, the 1/100 scale Elin Kshatriya isn't a knockoff since there isn't a legitimate 1/100 scale Kshatriya from Bandai. So yes, that's a big resin kit. So yes, that's a situation where I would say, yeah, buy the third party one, where there's not anything that Bandai have made, but a lot of the times they're just rip-offs. So yeah, good clarification from Richard there. Paul Stewart says I still want that 1/44 Kshatriya pants. I have mine up there. I need to get that built. My high grade Kshatriya. I might do that one again. Let's have a look. Any other questions? Any more questions from the chat?
Kenneth said he's going to pick Will up, and him and Will can take turns driving from Melbourne.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit difficult in the watery bits.
Just if you drive fast enough, it skims across the top.
Yeah. Kenneth M says, are resin kits knockoff? No, that's going back to what Richard said about the third party. If it's a resin kit, they've not just the third part. The knockoffs, the bootlegs, are where the company will basically take the sprue that Bandai makes, copy the mold, and make exactly the same product, just not as well. Things like the Elin Kshatriya, where it's a completely original sculpting and tooling, and they've put all the work into making the kit, and then they release it as a resin. There's no equivalent to Bandai. So, yeah, Richard's point is correct. Technically, that's not really a bootleg. It's just a third-party Gunpla kit. They may not actually have the license to produce it because Bandai own the license. So technically, they're being a bit ropey. They're actually ripping Bandai off. Whereas a company that just takes all the molds, rips them off, and produces the same thing as Bandai, but not as good, that's a knockoff.
I need to step out for a few minutes because there's fireworks and my dog is really scared of fireworks.
Okay.
I'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Okay. Dave Why Is the Rum Gone Barker says, question, is Chris ever going to start that blooming bike? Chris at Gross Models won a big ass motorbike kit in an E-Models giveaway, and he hasn't started it yet. He says, yes, eventually when I'm older.
I know. I think we should see at least some glue bits getting glued together.
Yeah. Paul Stewart says Chris is going to do 6 episodes of the build and then stop. That's a little dig at me for never finishing my D'Agostini Millennium Falcon. Rusting Customs Model says, question, what is good for the base of a diorama? Let you answer a question for a change. I do all talking.
It depends what you're going to build. What sort of thing you're going to build. Some people use photo frames. Some people use Kingspan, that insulation stuff. That's really dense foam. You can use that. Really, it's just down to what you want to build and how you want to build it.
Yeah, some people use like Oasis foam, the stuff you get with flowers.
Yeah, I find that a little bit crumbly unless you're going to cover it with something.
Yeah.
Usually with that, you sort of cut it the shape and then put a mat over it or something just to hold it all together, because it's really nasty stuff. It just floats everywhere. If you can find a local building site, they usually have some offcuts of Kingspan or some other dense type insulation. That's usually good.
Don't forget, of course, if you mean like a literal base, like what is the diorama built on? Cheap picture frame. Go to your local shop that sells cheapo picture frames. There you go. You've got the frame. Take the glass out. Get a piece of often the piece of board in the bottom will be fine, or if you get yourself some foam core board from the local art shop or model shop, stick that in the bottom. Done.
Even things I've even seen things like if you're building, say, a tank in a forest, people have put them on off round logs, sort of slices of log. Put them on that, just something to offset or to enhance the scene itself.
Yeah,
so,
go to your local cheapo shop and see if they've got any, or you can local DIY shop and see if they've got any of the little plaques that you get for putting house numbers on. Sometimes you get a wooden plaque and you can put a house number on it. That'd be fine. A lot of art shops will sell wooden shapes like squares and circles and just random shapes. Anything can be a diorama base, because the focus of your diorama is the diorama itself and the model. What the base is actually made out of doesn't really matter. So some people just use a piece of wood. But yeah, if you want a nice frame around it, just go and get a cheap picture frame. Throw the glass away, or you keep it if you want. Use the baseboard or make your own. Done.
Yeah, he's come back in. Rustin's come back in and said he wants to make tarmac or concrete. Use emery paper, different grits, different textures, different sizes. Just start with some wet and dry stuff like that, and then just sort of weather it to your taste if you want to make a road, something like that.
Yeah, depending on the scale of the model. I mean, if it's a real big scale model like 1/24 or something like that, then emery paper, very fine sandpaper, just glue that down like Ted says. It's great. It's got that surface to it. If not, you could just paint it. You can, if you're just doing like a small model like 1/35 or 1/72 or something, you're probably not going to want to have a texture on the surface because it'd be out of scale. But you can then just use a sponge to stipple on different colors of grays or whatever you want the surface color to be, and that will also give you that kind of textured effect without actually physically having a texture. It makes sense at a certain point to not have a texture there at all, because it will be out of scale. If a person's that big, then having a sandpaper that's got little lumps on it might look like the ground's covered in boulders. So
well, some of those bases that you use for the tranny were quite good. Those oh cracky, course models.
Oh, the ones I use with the get them from emodels.co.uk, free plug. They're the coastal diorama boards.
Coastal kits, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a piece of foam board with a diorama printed on it. And in this case, mine had like some flagstones as an airstrip and then some tarmac. And all I did was I put some grass stuff over the tarmac bits and left the flagstones as a high quality photograph, and put some little tufts of grass between the flags and put the transit van on top, and it looked great. It's just printed on the surface, so it's flat, there's no texture, but they're really high quality images and they actually look pretty good. So for a quick and dirty diorama, have a look at those coastal, I think they're coastal diorama boards,
coastal kits or something.
Yeah,
like that,
they're all different sizes, and the things like bits of landing strip or tarmac, or there's some grass, and they're just quick ways to, they're kind of designed at typically 1/72 and 1/44 scale for planes, but have a look, they're really good. There was another question somewhere.
Robert Blacklock question: I need to install a single 0.25mm fiber optic light.
Yeah, I'm giving this one to you, Ted, because I don't know about that.
But can only find 3 and 10mm light sources. What's the best way to adapt a strand to a larger source?
You could mushroom it, I suppose. But
yeah, Richard Flanagan, I think what he's on about is actually the light source itself. The size of the light is 3 to 10mm, and he's looking for a smaller light source.
So I'm assuming he's got then a bulb, and he's got a tiny strand, and he wants to know how to physically attach that strand to the bulb. So it,
yeah,
if you've got like a,
what I've seen is that they've sort of shrunk them onto the light bulb with shrink sleeving. You know, the plastic shrink sleeving that holds it quite tight.
Like the stuff you heat up and it shrinks.
Yeah. I think that's what he's on about. Richard Flanagan mentions SMDs, which could be an idea to get a smaller light source, but then it's just getting the fiber to attach to the light source itself.
He says he's actually considering, he's lighting a single 1/48 scale reading lamp on a U-boat, and LED is too big.
Right, I see what you mean. Yes.
I would say if you're rigging up a U-boat, especially a 1/48 one, so it's the trumpeter, you're going to have a lot of other lighting in there anyway. So I would just feed the optic cable from one of the other bulbs.
To be honest, I I've seen them. That's actually a part I'm on at the moment. There's a little on this bulkhead here. I don't know if you can see it. Am I locked up?
It's locked onto you, dude. Don't worry.
Ah, right.
It's locked onto you.
I don't know if you could see this little bit here. It's just out of focus. If I get it into focus for you, so you could see it. This bit here is a reading desk, and just up here where that little hole is where the reading light goes. Now, I've thought about lighting it, and to be honest, I'm not going to bother because the compartment will be lit itself from above.
You wouldn't see it really, would you?
You wouldn't. Yeah, I think actually it would overpower it because I have got some of these. I've got these tiny SMDs. I think somebody's already mentioned the SMDs in there. These are how small they are. That's what I'm lighting it with. Yeah, Richard Flanagan mentions the SMDs. That's how I'm doing my lighting, and that's how small they are. If
Paul Stewart says, Paul Stewart does say a 148 U-boat. I know a guy with a lovely moustache who's building one of them.
Yeah, these are really tiny, and they will do the job.
He does say as well that is the exact lamp he's trying to light.
Yeah, I thought about it, and I just ignored it. I think I'll just paint it white as it's suggested in the instructions, and then just leave it.
So you're just kind of saying it would be lost in the light for everything else.
It'll be lost. Yeah, it'll be lost. I don't think it would make that good an impression anyway, so I'll leave it.
I have another question then. Kenneth says, question, is it okay to clean your brushes in isopropyl alcohol? My brushes are Winsor & Newton Series 7, and I think they are natural hair, if that matters. Winsor & Newton Series 7 are the best brushes ever. Look after those brushes, Kenneth. They are awesome brushes. I think I put you onto them. It's probably my fault. Yes, you can clean them in IPA, isopropyl alcohol, or rubbing alcohol, as my American cousins will call it. What I recommend is make yourself one of these. This is a pot of Tamiya X28 thinner. However, when it ran out, or when it got very, very low, what I did was I just poured in some more X28 from a different source, and I used that to clean my brushes. And then after a while, I put some more in because I had little bits of thinner left over. And then I added some UMP airbrush thinner. And then eventually I put some IPA in. This is brown. It looks black in there now, but I've had this for about 4 or 5 years. It will clean the brush quite nicely. It doesn't matter if it's IPA or normal paint thinners like your Tamiya or your UMP alcohol-based thinners. Just thinners. Just build one of these bottles up over time. When you get little bits of dregs of thinners left, just pour them in, top it up. I always use that to clean my brushes. However, as it's a Winsor & Newton Series 7, which are beautiful brushes, this will get them nice and clean. But over time, and TK's holding it up, and I'm about to do the same thing.
Oh, welcome back, TK.
Yep, I will click on TK. Over time, it will eventually dry the brushes out. So what you want to do is get what TK is holding up, and I've got it here as well. It's the Masters Brush Cleaner and Preservative. I'll just hold mine up as well. Hang on. TK's is clearer than mine, ironically. The Masters Brush Cleaner and Preservative.
I'm the only one missing that. Really got to get some.
Yep, what it is basically, it's brush soap. It smells absolutely edible. It's got this beautiful lemon cheesecake smell, and I really want to eat it every time I go in it. And all you do is when you've washed your brush out in your mix of thinners, again, any alcohol-based thinners, IPA is just strong alcohol, basically. Clean the brush off, then rinse it in some warm water. So get it cleaned off with this. Rinse it off in some warm water, and while it's still soaking wet, just get your brush and just scrub it gently on the soap. Get some more warm water. If it's in warm water, scrub it on the soap some more. Just keep scrubbing till you get a nice foamy lather on the brush, and then you just rinse that off. And this will basically, it kind of cleans the brush. It gets really old paint off from the ferrule quite nicely because it's quite strong. It will also help the brush maintain a point because when you finish, you just rinse it off in the warm water and twirl it, and you get a point. If your brush is like that and it's lost its point, that's lost its point many years ago, you can actually put it in this stuff, get it covered in the soapiness, make it into a point, and then leave it to dry. And then when you come back to use this brush the next time, the first thing you just rinse it in some cold water, and it will make all the dried up soap go away, and it will hopefully have helped it keep its point. So this is really, it's only cost like $5 to pay, $5 to $10, depending on where you are. If you're in Australia, Kenneth's in Australia, probably about $10 million Australian. I think this cost me about £5 plus. I mean, I turned out, I got this from the US. I didn't even realize, I just ordered it on Amazon and it came from the US. I'm like, really? I only paid like $3 shipping, £3 shipping. But it would just make brushes last longer. You don't need to go that far with like cheap, crappy brushes, but if you've got a Winsor & Newton Series 7, get yourself some of this. It's the Masters Brush Cleaner and Preserver. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. And it really is just a case of get the brush done, scrub it in, work it into the soap, get a lather, rinse it off, put it into a point, and store it. If you've got the plastic tube that goes on the end, like that, then always store your brush that way up, because then any crud that's in the brush while it's still wet from being washed will run down to the tip and out. If you haven't got a plastic tube, then you kind of have to store it that way up. It's not ideal, but it's better than knackering the brush. But if you've got the plastic tube that goes in the end, keep it and always store it point down with the plastic tube on, and that's how you make sure all the stuff that's left in there, all the water drips off to the point.
Yeah, look. Yeah,
depending on the size of the brush, you can also get some straws and just cut them to size and put the brush into the straw.
Yeah, so that way you can always store it that way. I've got brushes that are stored that way, but that's because they're all brushes I don't care about.
Yeah. As you can see, we practice what we preach. I have a load of tubes. And a load of brushes stored the other way up. I just can't get around to putting the two together.
Yeah, if you've got a big collection of brushes, it's one of those kind of things that, because I mean, a lot of my brushes are like 25 years old and they're all scratty and horrible. I've just never got around to putting little tubes on them. So, and I've only recently started really looking after my brushes. So
I still need to turn my brushes all upside down.
Yeah, I mean, mine are all.
I'm used to looking at the point. I need that brush. So when they're upside down,
that's a point. That's a point, GK. Yeah, rather than
which one do I need now? And I will be just pulling up brushes at random. So there's a.
I mean, go on, Ted. What were you going to say?
Yeah, that's a point there. That's a point there. If you store them the wrong way up, that way up,
how do you know which is which?
You can't see the points.
Yeah, that's
I know that. I know that Citadel sort of color code the brushes, but
they used to. They don't anymore.
Do they not?
For some reason, the ones that Duncan uses in his videos never quite match the ones I actually see in the shops. So, but it says on it dry, or you've got the size there. Quite on say Citadel brush, it's quite easy to see which brush it is. But yeah, I'm guilty of not actually doing that myself, putting the right way up. But most of my brushes spend most of their life lying on my workbench like that because I'm constantly doing stuff, so. But yeah, isopropyl alcohol is fine. Probably cheaper if you just also top it up with dregs of other thinners you've got lying, as long as they're acrylic thinners, things like that. If you're using oil paints, then you want to use your oil paint thinners or your mineral spirits. Exactly the same. You can use dregs from other bottles. Just you can use the soap afterwards. Just make sure they're rinsed off. If you're using enamels, you can use the same thinners for oil paints, and you can just keep that bottle. Say this is about 3 years old and it's black in there, but you don't have to worry about it because the brush comes out clean. So there you go. Big long answer. Let's have a look. Bruno Navarro says, in Brazil, all material is very expensive, which makes it very difficult to invest a large amount of money. Either we have to use second line material or we have to buy from outside the country. That's actually true of a lot of things in South America and that part of the world. Everything's really expensive. There's always cheaper ways of doing things, though.
Yeah, in fact, that's quite often a fun way to do things, is try and improvise.
Yeah.
Or just make your own ideas up.
Yeah. I mean, typically IPA, isopropyl alcohol, for example, is a lot cheaper than, like, if I bought, say, a bottle of, not specifically that thinner, but a bottle of thinner that, say, Tamiya X20A or something like that, of that much, it might cost me, let's say, I don't know, £8. I could go to the chemist and buy a bottle twice that big of IPA, and it cost me like £3. And it's not that different. So, yes, there's always cheaper options. Let's have a look.
Best bet for a wet palette, says Richard Flanagan.
Best what?
Best bet for a wet palette.
Best bet.
I think he's on about making. I think he's on about buying a palette. Just make one.
Oh right, yeah, no, don't buy one.
I got this years ago. The P3.
Yeah, don't. you're throwing money away. Don't bother. Just don't
Yeah.
bother. Mine's in the fridge downstairs, I'm afraid. But
It's supposed to have sheets that fit, but they actually kind of sort of grow when they get wet.
yeah,
Because the fibers absorb the water and the sheet, and then it goes all wrinkly. So it's not ideal, but it works. But you can easily make your own. Fox did a video on it, and yeah.
However, they're so easy to make. I think you could actually make one for each modelling session. They're so easy and cheap. You just need to get the paper. Once you've got that, you could use it, let it dry, we'll make another one.
yeah. I mean, quite literally, mine is a plastic sandwich tub. Although I got a tall one and not a thin one, kind of dick. A plastic sandwich tub, some kitchen roll. I get 4 sheets of kitchen roll folded over, cut to shape, and then I just use this, which is Mason Cash. I said partridge paper. What the hell's partridge paper? It's Mason Cash parchment paper. Now, it's a little confusing. If you're American, you can just go to any old store and buy a roll of parchment paper. If you're in the UK, it's not that easy because we don't really know what parchment paper is. Some people do. If you go to Asda and Sainsbury's and stuff, they sometimes have parchment paper. You're more likely to see something like greaseproof paper or parchment paper that also has got foil on it. Can't be greaseproof paper, can't be tracing paper, can't be anything apart from parchment paper. It's a baking product. But if you get stuck, go online and just look up Mason Cash parchment paper on Amazon. This cost me about £4, and it's a nice big thick roll, and that'll last me years. And it needs to be parchment paper because it needs to be porous enough to let some water through, but not so porous that it will just fall apart and get wet. Greaseproof paper, tracing paper, they're not porous. They just stop the water getting through.
Yeah.
So my wet palette cost me all of about £5.
Yeah. Don't use wax paper, says Robert Blacklock.
Yes, wax paper, same thing. It won't allow the water to soak through.
If you can't find it,
I got this. I couldn't find parchment paper in the Netherlands, and I got this from P3 as well.
Yeah, you get those. They're basically the same thing. They're basically just.
This is 50 sheets, and I'm gonna look up what it cost me because I forgot. But it wasn't very expensive.
Yeah, I mean it's basically just the same stuff. It's basically just parchment paper, same thing.
Yeah. Some places, some towns may have one of these specialist kitchen shops where they sell knives and cutlery and
baking stuff.
It was about €10 because it's model making related, so they add about €5 to it. But it's still not that expensive. They go. I've had this pad for years now, and I still got most of the sheets.
It's a bit more expensive, but it'll last you a while.
Yeah,
but the cheapest option, just get some baking parchment paper, not greaseproof paper. So literally, the sandwich thing cost me £1. The kitchen roll is like pennies. And all I do is I cut a piece off the parchment paper, stick it on the tissue, soak it in water, drain the water off. There's my wet palette. When it gets a bit dunked up or stinky, I just throw it all away and do some more.
I'm going to show this without spilling my paint.
This
one just got some, no, not on my keyboard. Some, the packing foam, those things you use to chip with. Yeah, it's just got a slab of that in, so you can also use that instead of
sponge or foam or anything like that will hold the water because you want to drown it in water and then pull most of the water away so it's just damp.
I have to say this is not a sponge. This is the foam. It takes quite a while before the water gets absorbed into the foam, like.
Yeah, it sits on the surface for a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it stays. What water does, it stays in it adheres to itself. Oh, how do I say this in English? Before it levels out through the whole foam.
Yeah, you have to let it soak into the whole of the sponge.
Yeah, it takes a couple of hours. That's
the
whole downside of using this thing.
Yeah, but I would say though, if you see online where you can buy wet pallets like that one, and there's ones with special sponges and stay wets, don't bother. They're like 15-20 quid. Make your own. It'll cost you £5, and it's just you don't have to then worry about getting replacements and refills. Let's have a look. Where are we up to? Oh, I'm still clicked on that. Hey, Tom Rickleff says, "Hey Fox, are you entering Zach Aurelius's unicorn contest?" Zach over at Zach Aurelius is doing a unicorn contest. I forget the reason why. I think it's to do with 20,000 subscribers or 40,000. I can't remember. It's to do with his YouTube subscriber number, I think. No, I haven't got the time. I haven't got the time. I'll get in my big unicorn, but I haven't got the time to. I'd love to. I haven't got the time to do it. Let's have a look. Robert Blaylock says baking parchment paper in the US is about $4 for 50 feet. That will last you a lifetime. How long's this one? This is a tiny one, and it's 25 meters. I don't know what that is in feet. 25 meters. So yeah, it lasts.
So about 3 meters, about 3 feet for a meter. So
75 feet. No.
Oh.
Yeah, no, the other way. Wait, I don't know. I don't do maths. Stop making me do maths.
25 times 3.
Yeah. Dave Barker says this is $4.99 on eBay. It was about that on Amazon.
Going back to the paintbrush subject, Spider 8 says, how about using a kitchen knife magnetic strips to hold
brushes? Yeah, you could glue some tinfoil around the. There's nothing stopping you.
Yeah, the ferrule will be.
I've got some tape there. Glue some tinfoil around. You can stick it on a magnetic thing. That's a good idea. I like that.
The ferrules are metal anyway.
Yeah,
that's true. So so you could hold it like that.
Unless you have really cheap brushes.
Yeah, they don't have. If you have plastic ferrules, you don't want to buy them. That's a really good idea. I shall have to steal that idea. Stolen completely. Or glue a load of magnets to the wall or something like that.
Yeah.
Go on, Ted.
No, it's all right. I was just saying you should copyright it before we all steal it.
Yeah, we've already stolen it. It's too late now. Once it's in chat, you can't go back. Kenneth says, I bought the Masterson Stay Wet palette and it really good and big, so you have lots of room to mix shades. There's nothing actually wrong with the pre-made palettes. They are really, really good. It's just they're kind of more expensive than they need to be. But if you're happy with it, it's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with having one. Let's have a look. 2 people say 75 feet. My maths was correct. I thank you. Keith Denny says, any progress on your perfect grade Zaku Fox, or has it gone the way of the D'Agostini Falcon? I see what you did there. You've been talking to Chris and Paul. No, it's in the box. It just needs all the weathering doing. I will get back to it because I need to get that finished. I just kind of got burnt out on it. So yes, I do need to get back to that. It just needs all the weathering, so I will be going back to that at some point in the future. Unlike the big D'Agostini Falcon, which is in a big box until such time as I get a workbench twice the size of this one. One day when somebody gives me enough money to have my garage demolished and rebuilt as a studio. All offers welcome. Then yes, that will actually come back. So I will get that done at some point. I need to get the eagle and the big Master Chief done.
The only reason you didn't do your garage yet is because of the spiders.
Well, the spiders and a lack of 20 grand to get a new garage built, but there you go. Mostly the spiders. Yeah. I've got to tell you, because it's in September now. On a completely unrelated note, because it's September, all the garden spiders are huge. They're massive. You get the diadem spiders, the brown one with the little silver crucifix, the little white cross on the back. I quite like them because they're harmless and they stay in the garden. We've got one in the garden. It's like that big and it's in the web and it's like raw fatness. It's a good thing. But they just have this habit of building webs right across like doorways and the gate and places where you need to go.
And they're made of steel, so when you...
Yeah. But it's like if they can build it possibly across a door or between the two bins when you need to take one of the bins out or across the gate to the driveway or, I don't know. I actually got in the car once and somehow a garden spider had got in my car and I hadn't driven for a few weeks. It got in my car and grown to a massive size and the web was between the steering wheel and the ceiling. I got in the car, got the seatbelt on, turned the stereo on, lit a cigarette, looked up, and I had to change my trousers because there's a big spider there. I'm like, oh, hello. And I had to try and catch it in midair. It was like, oh. I won't often handle a spider, but I had no choice but to try and grab it, and I didn't like doing that. Let it out. I let it go.
But end October they will just migrate into the house because it's getting cold outside, and they.
No, you see, that's why I like garden spiders. They never come in the house. I've never, in my entire 45, 46 years of life, I don't know how old I am. That's really disturbing. 45 years of life, I've never ever seen a garden spider in a house. They just know. They have this unwritten knowledge that, yeah, we don't go in there because that's where the humans live and they don't like us. So I like garden spiders because they stay outside. They just have a really bad sense of location, which is unfortunate.
Maybe I should bring a few in November.
No, not your Dutch things. They'll be massive and horrible and crazy. And I've seen the spiders you get in your house.
Yeah, but they're house spiders. So
where's Ted gone? We've all noticed. We've all not commented on the fact that Ted's disappeared.
Stop talking about spiders.
Let me just send Ted a quick invite in case he's broken something.
Yeah. Probably pressed a button.
He probably pressed a button, unless he got the command. He didn't actually say goodbye. He just went, didn't he?
Yeah, he was off his chair. Last I saw.
He just kind of carried on talking and hadn't even noticed he'd gone. Sorry, Ted. Let me send him an invite. I hope this doesn't pop up on screen. There we go. I hope that doesn't come up on screen. Ted, you might have changed your email address if that comes up on screen. Sorry. Let's have a look. Chris at Gross Model says, stop talking about spiders in capital letters. Robert Blaylock says he's been in pest control for nearly 30 years and he's still terrified of spiders. And he also says, always at face level. Richard Flanagan said, had a spider in my respirator once. To which Robert Blaylock replies, nope.
No.
Serious nope.
Incinerate that thing. No.
It's Dave Wiserumgun says it's when you walk into one and turn into a ninja because you do the spider flail. You do this. It's true. You should try doing that carrying a 3-foot-long U-boat model into the garden to spray it. It's really quite terrifying. I nearly lost a 3-foot-long U-boat model doing that. I was like, I've got to put this down, but I'm also flailing.
You know, spiders don't bother me. It's wasps.
Wasps do have a function. I read this. Wasps do actually have a function. They are pollinators, apparently.
Yeah, they are. But now we get these huge Japanese wasps.
Oh, the Asian hornets.
Yeah.
Oh, Ted says he lost the internet. He'll be back ASAP.
I was working in my garden this week or last week, and there was this huge hornet flying around, and also a grasshopper. And the grasshopper jumped, and the wasp got it midair and started eating it. I was like, this thing could totally kill me.
Yeah, we've started getting those. Thankfully, I've not seen one. We have a couple of questions.
Ooh.
Just sort of back away from spiders as quickly as we can. Lord Barclay III to me says, I want to make a container as in shipping. What type of evergreen plastic am I looking for? So he wants to make like a miniature shipping container like you got on the back of a truck.
It was huge. I don't have any experience in doing that sort of big scale scratch building type of thing. Yeah. I think we may need that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say first of all, really I mean, you can get evergreen that's corrugated. That's got that kind of corrugated pattern. But if you want to make your own, you could just get the thin sheet and cut very fine strips of the sheet and lay that over the top. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I've got various thicknesses of evergreen over here that are off camera. You want something that's thick enough that you can bend it and shape it. I don't really know how to answer that. It's just you're just making a box basically. I would say make the basic box shape. What have you got there, TK?
Well, I do have some. It's not evergreen, but
I mean, any kind of plastic plate or plastic card will be fine.
Come on.
Evergreen isn't all strips and tubes. There are flat sheets as well. Basically, you just make a box and then you can somehow apply the texture over the top, like with very thin strips. But they do a corrugated, evergreen do a corrugated sheet as well, but I don't know what the scale would be.
Does it show on camera? This come in its sort of H shape you may need for containers?
Yeah, it's kind of a girder shape, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like an H.
Yeah, I mean,
like a steel beam, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, several sizes.
What I would say is go out and take some photographs of actual transport containers, and then get home and have a look at them and try and figure out how you would build that out of flat plastic card using just shapes like squares and things. You could make it as a hollow box and then you're looking at laying on the details on top for strips and the bits around the edges and the corners and the hinges and things like that. As for the mechanisms on the doors, it's a bit more complicated because then you're getting into very thin strips and tubes and the handles that are kind of that shape. That's quite a skillful thing. There are actually, you can buy.
Well, you can get some tubes.
You're a tube.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you can actually buy shipping containers in various scales from various third-party manufacturers. So have a look around. There will be lots of companies that make railway scenery make things like shipping containers in various scales. Companies that make things for tabletop gaming. Who is it that does it? I think it's Reaper. Do things like shipping container. They're obviously not realistic like we'd see them. They're a bit weird and shaped, but all different kinds of things. But just give it a try. Just make something out of plastic card.
Just start small and get the technique.
Yeah.
In your fingers, and then.
But you're just looking for basic thin plastic card. What the Japanese and Gundam builders call plaplate. You can get it from any model making store. They'll usually sell it. It's called plastic card, and there are various thicknesses from the thickness of paper to big thick sheets. Tim Roberts says we had a spider called a. Oh, it's gone. Hang on. Oh, it moved right at the wrong moment. He said God damn it. We had a spider called the bird-eating spider when I lived in tropical North Queensland. It was huge. Yes. Keith Denny, so we're back on spiders again, aren't we?
Yeah.
See what happens when Ted goes away. Keith Denny says, any tips on stippling on very small chipped rust areas? I think the HS method is the easiest. The hairspray method is the easiest, but for post-paint rust chipping. Yes, two ways you can do it. So if, for example, I'll use this as an example, but if I was painting, say, little tiny rust chips on here, you can either brush it on with a very fine brush, which is tedious but looks really good. You could stipple it on with a brush. It's not ideal. The easiest way is just to get a tiny piece of sponge, a little bit of sponge, like you might get in this case. This came with a watch, but any kind of foamy sponge, just chop up the end with some scissors, hack it around so it's rough, and then just dip it in your paint. Get most of it off on a piece of tissue, and then just stipple it on very carefully. And if you kind of point it, you can get small areas. That's how. Yeah. That's one of the best ways to do, and the easiest ways to do chipping.
Just the ones in the kitchen, with the yellow bit and then the green scouring bit on the top.
Yeah, Brillo pad, those kind of things.
Yeah,
they're also good. But sponging it is kind of, if you can do it by hand, you can just brush it on. And when I do some chipping on this big bad boy, I'm going to do some brush chipping because I only want a little bit. But for a proper random look, just get a bit of sponge and just work it very slowly and carefully. But make sure you get, it's just dry brushing, but with a sponge instead of a brush. Here's a question I can answer. Feel free to pick up any questions you can answer, by the way, TK.
Yeah, I forgot to look at the chat again.
I don't want to answer everything. Rune Strand says, do any of you have any experience with the C1 Metalizer? Can you gloss coat it? I can answer that because I've just done that. Look, C1 Metalizer. Yes, you can. I did some tests on some spoons that I just happen to have here, and it won't really come out on camera. But my idea was I wanted to do a metallic base coat, then some Tamiya clear orange, and see what happened. So what I did was I did two tests. I did gloss black base coat first. Then on both of these, I rubbed the C1 Metalizer, and I buffed it. On this one, I then gave it 3 coats of Pledge Pledge Floor Care Finish 2 times more shine. So gloss varnish, basically, acrylic gloss varnish. And on this one, I just sprayed the orange paint, the clear orange paint over the top of the C1 Metalizer. There's no varnish on that. I can confirm you can spray a gloss varnish over the C1 Metalizer, and it only takes the shine down a tiny bit, almost imperceptibly. Now this looks screwed up because after I did that, I painted the orange clear paint on, and it all went wrong and crackly because I painted it onto a clear coat, so it looked like ass. But this one is quite simply C1 Metalizer with Tamiya clear orange painted over the top, directly onto the powder, and it's still shiny. Again, it takes off a little tiny bit of shine, but not much at all. So with C1 Metalizer, yes, you can gloss coat it. Yes, you can paint over it. And it's pretty tough. I even just tried handling it when it was just the C1 Metalizer, and it wasn't coming off on my hands. It didn't really tarnish. If I got a fingerprint, I just rubbed it off. I really, really like this stuff. It's like, I mean, I'd be lucky if I ever got a finish like it shows on there, because the big trick is the coat that goes under it, the black in this case, has to be nice and smooth and level. You can't polish it. You mustn't polish the paint. It needs to be just gloss black paint. That's it. If it's a little bit rough, tough, just leave it. Ideally enamel or lacquer, because they'll give you the smoothest finish. You don't polish it before. Just gloss black paint and then the powder, or a different color gloss paint. But yes, I can confirm you can gloss varnish over it. At least you can with Pledge Floor Care Finish 2 times more shine. And by association also Pledge Multi-Surface Wax, which is the same stuff. And it only dulls the shine a tiny, tiny bit, almost imperceptibly, and it looks great. So yes, you can. I know that. And also you can brush paint over it, because I painted the orange line with the brush Citadel paint directly over the C1. I love this stuff. I am sold on this stuff. And I'm going to go on, sorry.
Any reason you can't buff the gloss black beforehand?
Yes, it says specifically in the instructions, don't polish it, because it needs the surface to be shiny but not totally smooth, because then if it's totally smooth, I'm assuming this is the case, the powder won't grip very well.
Yeah.
So if it's just, say, gloss black paint, acrylic or enamel or lacquer, it's shiny, but it still has a slight texture to it, so the powder can grip. I did this with Tamiya gloss black acrylic, and my surface came out kind of patchy and rough in some places, but I suck at painting gloss colors. I just suck ass at painting gloss colors. So, but you could use other gloss colors, gloss red, gloss blue, gloss green, and it would give a different tint. This has, this actually had Tamiya clear orange sprayed directly over the C1 Metalizer without a varnish coat in between, and it didn't dull it much at all. So yes, you can. You can even paint over it. I love it. It will come off if you rub it like buggery, but I mean, I was doing that with my hand on the spoon and it wasn't coming off and it wasn't dulling it. So I've got a plan for that stuff for my big 160, potentially either my big 160 scale Freedom Gundam or my Kshatriya. We shall see. It's a lazy man's way of doing metallics. It's a good question. Good you asked that, because I was going to mention that. Richard Flanagan says the Ushi Van der Rosten chrome powder, which is similar. Yes, that's also very good. I think the C1 Metalizer might be a little bit more durable. I think possibly. I've never used the Ushi Van der Rosten, but I've seen it used. My understanding is that C1 may be a little bit more buffable, but I'm not sure. Robert Blaylock says wasps are the dicks of the bee world. Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Wasps eat spiders. Yeah, but I can live with spiders more than I can. Mind you, Kenneth's Australia, where every single spider will bite your face off. We live in the UK, where spiders just get in the way and annoying and make you panic. They don't really harm you.
Yeah, but our spiders eat wasps.
Yeah, spiders eat wasps. There you go. Australian spiders eat flipping snakes and wolves and scorpions, and babies and cars. You know, you go to Australia, you can see somebody's car stuck in a spider web and the spider's there having some of it. And I'm having that. Australian spiders are hardcore, man. There's nothing in Australia that doesn't want to kill you apart from a koala and a wombat. And even the wombat can be a bit narky. Now, there was something I was going to mention earlier on. While we're still waiting for Ted to figure out why his internet's not working, I suspect he's not going to join us. Those of you who are in the Boom Hut, the Model Makers Boom Hut, you will know we're doing a giveaway. The Boom Hut reached 2,000 members last week, a few days ago, actually. And to celebrate this, I am giving away this Bandai 172nd scale TIE Fighter kit. It's not been made, it's built, the box has been open, but that's it. I'm giving this away for free. There is a post on the Boom Hut page. If you don't know what the Boom Hut is, I shall type it in the chat again for you, but it's a group on Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/model boom hut. I hope I've spelled that right. Model Boom Hut. What you need to do is go along to the Boom Hut. If you're not a member, join. It's free. It's open to everybody.
Oh, we're 2,100 now.
What?
2,100 members.
Wow, we've gained an extra 100 members, an extra 70 members or something in the last few hours. Excellent. Go along. If you're not a member, just join. Click on join. You'll be approved usually within 24 hours anyway. And all you need to do is at the very top of the page, there's a sticky post, which is announcing the giveaway. Just add a comment to that sticky post. And then next Saturday, the 16th of September, I will pick one of those comments at random and you will win that Bandai 172nd scale TIE Fighter. It's only open to Boom Hut members. So if you're not a member, make sure to go along and join. It's a really nice community. It's totally awesome. You just fit in. Trust me, you'll love it. You'll love it.
But I'm a member too. Wait, hold on.
No, it's not open to Treehouse Club members, I'm afraid, TK. Because, you know, we kind of run the Boom Hut, so we can't win the prize.
If I enter...
Yes.
I have this.
Oh. Now that we like... Have you actually made a start on that yet?
I've denubbed it. I've built it, and I took it apart again. So I just need to prime everything, and yeah, I couldn't be bothered to dirty up the airbrush because it was still 26 degrees up here, and so yeah, spraying at 26 degrees is a bit tricky.
I mean, that's the downside of where you are. You're in. For those that don't know, you're working in an attic. You've converted your attic or your loft to be an epic, awesome workroom, but with one little tiny skylight, of course, and it's all white inside. It captures the sun every day, and then it's like 8 billion degrees in there.
Yeah, our roof is facing the south, so we get all the sun. Well, you might be able, because I've not bought this house. We're renting this house. So, my house rent company, I don't know what it's called in English, is looking at solar panels for energy.
Yeah, I mean, if you catch the sun, then it's worth it.
So if they go forth with a plan, I will be having solar panels on my roof, and they will block the heat.
Is that something that like the local authority is doing? Is encouraging people and giving them benefits to putting them on the houses, like giving you various tax exemptions and things? And
yeah,
stuff like
is this corporation that owns like 1 million houses, and they rent it to people. They actually own the houses, so they get the government money to add solar panels and stuff like that. But it's still, they're testing it right now, while the other side of my street all have solar panels already on the roofs. So
yeah.
I don't know why they're testing it, but I really would love some solar panels on my roof. Or
yeah. Although it guarantees that the moment you have them put in and they're working, they'll suddenly develop some ultra efficient solar panel that gets like 90% of the power, and you'll be like, oh, no, I've got the one that does 15%.
Yeah, but I haven't paid for them, so I don't care.
Yeah, true. It's a freebie.
And a few years ago, they invented, they have a small-scale solar panel that could generate energy from the light of the moon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And by the light of the moon, God, I've just shown my age because that was the thing at the end of 30-something. If anybody remembers watching 30-something, you're old. So am I. TK says about you not being able to enter the giveaway. He says that's okay. You can enter that. You can join the Paint the Mr. Fox group build. There's a group build on the Boom Hut that Dave is sorting out.
Yeah, Dave, I really would love to, but my school starts next week. I probably won't have time.
He's got to go out and buy his math set with the triangle of mathematics and everything in it. So
I have to learn about 3,000 Latin plant names in the first year. So
hell, I don't even remember your name or Paul and Chris's name most of the time. So learning all those plant names would be rubbish for me.
It's gonna be difficult, but yeah. And it's not limited to plant names. I also need to learn soil and tools and get my license for poison and all that kind of stuff.
Ooh, poison license.
Yeah.
Does it involve like a shotgun as well in case you have to do pest control? That'd be cool.
Nah.
My job requires me to have firearms at all times.
Firearms in the Netherlands are difficult to come by, luckily.
Same here. Same here. Let's have a look. Just going across, somebody did say you can. Roadie Hobby Corner says you can enter under Mrs. TK. We might kind of spot that one though. So you know.
Oh, my son's a member of the group, I think.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know what he's down. I don't know what he's down as.
And he's under his mother's name because we
however,
divorced and stuff like that. So.
Well, I know the surname. Also, I know your address. So. Well, no, then I get that.
No, he lives on a different address.
Oh, but I do know the surname. I do know that. No, I don't know the surname, do I? Oh well.
No, you don't. He
Your
made
plan
it
is
his first name.
But once we expose your cunning plan by giving you the cunning plan in the first place,
I shall send him a text.
yes.
Dragon. No. I won't enter in any illegal way.
No, that's not how
It
you.
won't be fair.
Besides, we'd suddenly know when you suddenly had a TIE Fighter kit, and I'd be like, you know what? Also, I'll write something on it somewhere so I know which one it is. Dragoon Sage asked a question. It's not really a question for me. Well, not for me. I have got a clue. But Dragoon Sage, if Adam was here, he could probably help you out. Dragoon Sage says, "Hi chat. Anyone has any experience in 3D printing Gunpla replacement parts for a frame piece backlog model that is no longer covered by a bluefin warranty?" I've got no experience 3D printing. I don't know about you, TK.
No, none at all.
But yes, people do reprint parts for kits, 3D print them. So yep, absolutely give it a go. You can probably find a similar part online, or you might have to experiment a bit. Or if it's a kit where there's multiple of the same parts, just sort of get the measurements, and you might have to fiddle around. But yes, if anybody in the chat or or on the Boom Hut knows, then answer his question. But I can imagine yes, you can. Let's have a look. From chat roadie now they know, says TK. Yeah. Dave says, so Paul, that will. Oh, hang on. I don't know what the.
Oh wait, we missed a bit.
Yeah, I don't know what the question was, but Dave says, Paul, that will be Mudus Wetus Mudus Maximus Bonus Drius Mudus, which I assume is Pig Latin for something.
Well, probably soil. Yeah.
Yeah. Kirky's Will says, lies. I'm Australian and survived 30 odd years. And when we're talking about everything in Australia wanting to kill you.
Yeah.
The rest of the world knows everything Australia wants to kill you, apart from koala bears and wombats, and even wombats are questionable. Everything, even water, even the sea, even just moss.
Sand, the air.
Yeah, Australian death moss is a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they jump up quite high. I heard.
Yeah, Australian algae, Australian death algae. Come on, Australian death air. But you get the Korean death worm, so Australia's just Australian death everything, basically. Right. Okay, right. Well, I think, to be honest, I don't think we're going to get Ted back. I think his internet's died.
Yeah, I'm amazed mine kept up.
Shh. I know. Considering you were on dial-up earlier on, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that's going to do us for tonight. It's been a bit all over the place because, as always, we have no concrete plan for these things. But I think that's going to do us. Thank you to everyone who's watched this live and joined in the chat. You've all been awesome, apart from that one guy we had to block. There's always one. Don't know who it was. There's always one. On that note, in the Boom Hut, if you're a member of the Boom Hut, you guys, Kenneth M says they grow Japanese knotweed for fun. That's just hardcore, Kenneth. I told you Australians are as hard as nails. They're just, if ever you get into an argument with an Australian, just give up, run away. Just don't even bother. Keith Denny says, check out Zach Aurelius' channel. He did a video on Gunpla spare parts ordering. Yes, check out Zach Aurelius' channel. Anyway, Zach's an awesome dude, and his channel is full of good stuff. He focuses on Gunpla, so check out his channel anyway. I'm not so precious that I can't recommend other people's stuff. What was I saying? Yes, for people in the Boom Hut, you guys police yourselves, but obviously, as you saw with that guy in the chat tonight, if you see stuff in the Boom Hut that you think is out of order or not appropriate or is spam, remember to flag it and report it, because we see that and then we'll deal with that comment appropriately. So if anything like that happens in the Boom Hut, just flag it and we'll pick it up eventually. And we'll see it and report it and deal with it. So, but thank you to everyone who's watching. Remember, if you're in the Boom Hut, if you're not in the Boom Hut, either way, become part of the Boom Hut and enter that competition to win the TIE Fighter. Thank you so much for watching this evening. We will do another one of these, if not before then, on the second Saturday of next month, so the second Saturday of October or thereabouts. The next one will be the too many words, the Patreon exclusive After Hours, and then the one after that will be another Treehouse. But if we get a chance to get together in the meantime before then, we'll do another one of these for you. But it just remains for me to thank Ted. He's not there.
Thanks,
Ted,
Ted.
thank you for joining in. Never mind. TK, can you pretend to be Ted for a minute? Thanks, Ted, for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it.
I can't do the accent.
It's Cumbrian. Nobody can do the accent.
No.
And it just remains.
It just says a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Cumbrian.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. If you could just like rattle some sprues around and sound really loudly, that'd be spot on, basically.
Oh, I can do that. I can do that. They're all empty, but
yeah, that sounds like Ted Sandling. And if you could just say slap it on in a lewd way as well.
No, I can't do that. Not as funny as that. They could just say slap it on.
Slap it on. And of course, TK, thank you yourself for coming on. I know you often don't have time, so it's nice when you can come on. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's always fun to be here. So I hang out with the guys in the chat and you guys, obviously. So.
All right. And it just remains for me to say again, thank you for watching. Do keep right for the next one. Like I say, second Saturday of next month or thereabouts, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, usually around about then. If not before, we'll let you know. Take care of yourselves. PLA Ground says, haha, Ted isn't even here to defend himself. Ted's never here to defend himself, even when he's here. Paul Stewart says, slapping it on.
Slapping it on.
He's trying to go Dutch, but he's doing more of a Heinrich, I think.
Yeah. Well, we can do it. I still. He was asleep, but I can wake him up.
Yeah. Roadie Hobby says, slap it on. He's lumbered himself with that as his catchphrase now, hasn't he?
Slapping it on.
Schlappen gefahrten mit the Onja. Mit the Schlappen und the Painten. Ja, das ist richtig.
All of Germany is never going to watch this, but
yeah, you wonder why we've got no followers in Germany because Heinrich just infuriates them all the time.
Probably.
I mean, we do that, and then we criticize Americans for their cars and their beer, and then the Australians we just respect because they're terrifying.
I believe I'm allowed because I'm part German, so.
Okay. Well, we'll let you off then. We'll let you off. We'll only half despise everything. Anyway, yes. I will bid everyone good night. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not watching this live, thank you for watching, everybody. Do remember, if you're in the Boom Hut or you follow me on Modelmaking Guru on Facebook, I do post up about an hour before with the link to this, so you can come and watch it on YouTube with the chat as well. So the next one that comes up, come along to the YouTube page. You can join in the live chat. It's good times. But just remains for me to say thank you very much again. I'm waffling now because I'm hot and I'm dying for a cigarette and I need some water. I'll bugger off now. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching, and until next time.
Thanks,
adios, amoebas.
Bye.
Going to press the button. I'm going to press the button. I can't look at the button and the camera at the same time. I don't know where it is. Hang on. No, that missed. I'm getting cramps.